Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
We're here in Edinburgh, Scotland's largest financial centre, a European hub for asset management. Are there challenges that are specific to this geography?
I think it's about making sure that fund management companies in Edinburgh can attract the best talent in order that the institutions here can be competitive. I used to work in the industry. I used to work as a fund manager and as a broker. And Edinburgh was a destination for companies that wanted to come and meet investors. I think there is sufficient scale here, but it's about making sure that the institutions can, to some extent, punch above their weight. This has always been a city which has, I would say, been based on innovation. It was the home of the investment trust movement that was developed the railroad industry in North America, and of course it was the birthplace of the life assurance industry as well. So there's always been innovation here, and I think what the institutions that are here have to do is to make sure they are being innovative, that they're delivering to the expectations of their clients, and that whether it's pension funds or anybody else wants to put their assets with Scottish fund managers, Scottish-based fund managers.
What do you think the Scottish people think of asset management at the moment, and what's the industry going through in terms of reputation in this part of the world?
Well, I think in terms of Edinburgh, it's always been an important industry. I mean, you're talking about employment of about 35,000 people in financial services here, so it's the real heart of the city in many respects. So I think there is a very strong association. I mean, obviously there was some concern at the time of the financial crisis. Nobody took any pride as to what happened with Royal Bank of Scotland, for example, and the Bank of Scotland. But I think the city, whether it's the individuals, whether it's the politicians, want to see the industry thriving. It's been a fantastic industry in terms of giving opportunities for young people, and it's important that can continue.
It's fantastic that a conference like this is in this city and that it's bringing 1,000 professionals to Edinburgh together. What does it offer when these people can come together like this?
Well, I think hopefully for those that are visiting here, they can see what Edinburgh has to offer. It's a great place to live and work. It's a city which is easily commutable into and out of. There's a fantastic infrastructure here. There's a great social life in the city. And of course you've got the Highlands and Islands are on the doorstep of this area as well. So it's a great place to work in, a great place to travel from. There are great air links from Edinburgh Airport. It is a fantastic place to live, and I would say a fantastic place for people to bring up a family, a great education system. Of course there are some differences with education south of the border, and insofar as we still have a tuition-free based model. So I think it's one which is an attractive destination, and those perhaps that are visiting may want to think about career opportunities here as well.
Now, it would be remiss of me not to talk about it because it is a hot topic this week and you're a politician. So tell me about how you think Brexit will affect this industry going forward, and how are they trying to mitigate for what might be on the horizon?
Well, I would like to think that the government in London has a plan, but I see no evidence of that. And what does concern me is that the government seems to be ruling out passporting rights, and that does worry me. And I think there are some specific threats to the fund management industry. I mean, I've said repeatedly that we understand that the United Kingdom voted to leave, and that will happen in March 2019, but nobody voted to become poorer. And specifically, I don't think there is a mandate to be out of the single market and the customs union, and I'm continuing to push for that. And I think I'm finding that is something which is going down very well with people in the financial community. So this is not over. I don't think that what the Prime Minister has said, her speech from last Friday, is something that's going to give her a strong negotiating position with the EU. The EU have effectively ruled that out. So we really need to have a reality check about where we're going here. We have to protect jobs, we have to protect prosperity, and I think we have to have that engagement about what is the best option, and that is about staying in the single market and the customs union. But I would also say in terms of the politics of that, we've got the situation in Scotland where we did vote to stay in Europe, and I think the Prime Minister has to respect that the nation states, the nations of the United Kingdom voted in different ways, and she has to reflect the aspirations of the people here as well. There has to be an accommodation on these matters, and of course within all of that we have to be very respectful of the Good Friday Agreement and what that means in terms of not having a hard border between Ireland and the rest of the island.
It is indeed going to be an incredibly complex arrangement throughout every constitutional area, but particularly the arrangement for the investment and financial services companies who are so used to having such a good relationship with Europe and an ability to trade, invest.
Absolutely.
How complex is that?
It's massively complex, and I mean we've heard from the stock exchange about the risks that there are to jobs through the clearing mechanisms. They've talked about 75,000 jobs going. The Bank of England have made similar suggestions. So I think there is a real threat to jobs, and we've already seen, I know it's not connected to the financial services industry, but we've lost the jobs with the European Medicines Agency, we've lost the jobs from the banking authority that are going. So this is serious, this is already affecting jobs in the United Kingdom, and we should be very careful as politicians that we don't engage in actions that are going to damage the economy. That has to be the fundamental point. And even the government's own analysis has talked about a reduction of GDP over a 15-year period of up to 9% on the basis of a hard Brexit. You have to take that seriously, because there's also the impact that has on public services from lower taxation receipts and so on. But at the core of that, we need to make sure that we protect the strength that the financial service industry has.
And in Edinburgh, that's incredibly important, because so many jobs do rely upon financial services.
I mean, they do. I mean, if you take the sector in its widest sense throughout Scotland, you're talking about 100,000 jobs and 100,000 indirect jobs. So it's a massive impact on the Scottish economy. It's about 8% of our GDP, and we have a responsibility to protect that and nourish it.
So what can this industry do? It's hard to predict the future, nobody has a crystal ball, but is there anything they can do to mitigate for what's ahead? Because there are other challenges, not just Brexit. There's talk about low carbon future having an impact, ESG, regulation.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I know there are many challenges. I think what the industry has to do is to speak with a very clear voice. I think government needs to be lobbied. I welcome the opportunities that I have to meet with those that work in the industry, and I would encourage people to make sure that they are making their submissions to us. But I think they've got to make the government understand the risks and the challenges are there. And I would say for the industry, I know from the people that I speak to, that this has been quite debilitating in terms of the amount of time and effort that people have got to put contingency plans in place and so on and so forth. I don't think the government actually get this. I think when I speak to cabinet secretaries, when I speak to, for example, either the Prime Minister or David Davis, the Brexit Secretary, they seem to think that passporting is not a major issue. Now, I find that quite stunning, that the government doesn't recognise the very real and present dangers that there are there if we don't have that access.
And the huge amount of work that's already been going into these aspects in so many companies in financial services.
Absolutely, no, I know that. Yeah, no, I agree. And in a sense, there's an opportunity cost to that, because that means that boards are spending time on this matter when they should be spending time about how they develop their businesses to make sure the businesses are fit for purpose and can grow into the future.
So lots of conversations to be had in Westminster, but also a great opportunity here with 1,000 industry members at the conference. What sort of environment does this provide for those collaborative conversations?
Well, I think here what you can see is that this is a city which is well connected. There are fantastic opportunities for people here to engage with the wider community. This is a city which is very welcoming to the financial services industry. I would encourage other fund management companies to think about Edinburgh as a destination and benefit from the attractions that this city has to offer.
This conference brings together 1,000 of those pensions professionals to have those collaborative conversations. How much of an opportunity is that to have everybody in one place under one roof?
And it's a fantastic opportunity, because I think people do benefit from having discussions with colleagues, competitors and so on, and you can benefit from the shared experiences that people have.
Thank you so much for joining us. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.